The sun dipped low over the quiet suburban street, painting the manicured lawns gold. A young black man stood beside his sleek black car, scrolling through his phone, calm, collected, unaware that someone was watching him with growing suspicion. From across the cul-de-sac, a police officer's eyes narrowed. To him, the man didn't fit in with the neighborhood. Moments later, the screech of tires shattered the calm. The officer stepped out, gripping a golf club instead of his baton, fury twisting his face. The man didn't move. He just stood there, strangely calm. The next moment would make the entire street gasp. Support our channel. It's free. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories like this one. His name was Derek Cole, a quiet man in his early 30s who carried himself with a calm confidence that drew little attention, except when people decided he didn't belong. That afternoon, Derek had just finished a morning run, parked his car near the local country club, and leaned against the hood to check his messages. His shirt, slightly damp from the heat, clung to the faint outline of a muscular frame, one earned through years of discipline, not vanity. The peaceful air carried laughter from the golf course nearby, the rhythmic thwack of golf balls echoing across the lawns. Derek didn't notice the officer watching him, a man named Officer Brad Miller, known for his short temper and his sense of superiority behind the badge. Miller saw a black man near expensive homes, and in his mind, that was enough reason to intervene. As the seconds passed, curiosity turned to suspicion, and suspicion to anger. Miller's ego whispered that it was his duty to check this guy out. He didn't radio for backup. He didn't approach calmly. Instead, he grabbed the nearest thing, a golf club lying by a neighbor's lawn, and stormed toward Derek. Derek finally looked up, puzzled, his calm expression unchanging even as the officer barked orders. There was no fear in his eyes, just quiet calculation. His stillness only seemed to provoke Miller more. The quiet suburban calm was seconds away from erupting into chaos. And when it did, no one in that neighborhood would ever forget what they saw. The sound of footsteps crunching on the gravel echoed through the quiet neighborhood as Officer Miller closed the distance between them. His knuckles whitened around the golf club handle. Derek remained still, his phone now resting on the hood of his car, both hands visible, the universal sign of compliance. But Miller didn't see compliance. He saw defiance. A few neighbors peeked through their curtains, whispering. The sight of a uniform always brought a mix of curiosity and unease. Miller shouted for Derek to get on the ground. His voice carried not the tone of law enforcement, but domination. Derek didn't move. His gaze stayed locked on the officer, calm, unwavering. That composure only fueled Miller's rage. He swung the club forward, stopping just short of Derek's shoulder, as if to intimidate him. The motion drew gasps from the few onlookers who had gathered on their porches. Inside Derek's mind, everything slowed down. He had seen anger like this before, in training fields, interrogation rooms, and covert operations. He knew the type. Men who mistook power for control. Derek wasn't just a man standing by a car. He was a trained operative who had spent years working undercover for federal agencies. But right now, he was just another black man in the eyes of an angry cop. Miller's radio crackled faintly on his belt, but he ignored it. His pride had taken control. "You think you can ignore me?" he spat out, raising the club again. Derek didn't flinch. His mind ran through options. None of them violent. He knew any wrong move would confirm the stereotype the officer was desperate to see. Then came the first mistake. Not from Derek, but from Miller. The officer's swing connected with the car's hood, denting the metal with a sickening clang. Derek didn't move, but his calm stare was unnerving, almost surgical. A bystander finally pulled out a phone and began recording. Miller noticed, hesitated for just a moment, then barked at her to stop filming. But the damage was done. The lens was already capturing every detail. For the first time, doubt flickered in Miller's eyes. Derek reached slowly into his shirt pocket, his movements deliberate, and pulled out a small black wallet. The officer's voice shook slightly. "Don't move!" But Derek continued, silent, measured. He held it up. The sunlight caught the edge of a metallic badge. glinting cold and unmistakable. The murmurs from the crowd grew louder. The officer's jaw tightened. That badge looked too official to be fake. Derek said nothing. He didn't need to. His eyes spoke for him. Calm, certain, and utterly in control. Miller's grip loosened slightly, but he couldn't back down now. Not in front of an audience. His pride wouldn't let him. Yet deep inside, something cold and uneasy began to grow, the sinking realization that he might have just made the biggest mistake of his career. The murmurs from the crowd grew louder. The officer's jaw tightened. That badge looked too official to be fake. Derek said nothing. He didn't need to. His eyes spoke for him, calm, certain, and utterly in control. Miller's grip loosened slightly, but he couldn't back down now. Not in front of an audience. His pride wouldn't let him. Yet deep inside, something cold and uneasy began to grow. The sinking realization that he might have just made the biggest mistake of his career. The crowd's whispers turned to gasps as Derek slowly opened the badge holder, revealing the unmistakable emblem of the Central Intelligence Division, a branch so deep within federal operations that few officers had ever even met one of its agents. For a second, the world around Officer Miller stopped moving. The golf club hung limp in his hand. The faint breeze carried only the sound of the recording phone's microphone picking up each shaky breath. His mind raced. He had attacked a man carrying a federal clearance badge, and not just any agent, one whose name he had unknowingly heard in police briefings about national security coordination. Derek Cole. The name hit him like a shockwave. It couldn't be. That was the man who led classified missions overseas, who had received multiple commendations for service, and who trained tactical units on discipline under pressure. A man who had risked his life for the same flag Miller wore on his shoulder. But Miller couldn't hide behind his badge now. The image was already viral. A black man standing calm and still, while a white officer brandished a golf club in blind fury. The power dynamic had flipped in an instant. Derek's silence cut deeper than any words could. His eyes never left Miller's face. Not with hatred, but with something far heavier. Disappointment. The neighborhood that once turned a blind eye to prejudice was now witnessing it unfold in real time. No one could look away. The video streamed across social media within hours. Within minutes of the incident, 2 unmarked black SUVs turned onto the street. Men in suits stepped out, agents who didn't need to flash identification. Miller's hand trembled. His breath came in short, sharp bursts. The officer who once believed he had control now stood powerless, surrounded by the very institution he thought he represented. And Derek? He simply looked at him one last time, expression unreadable before turning away, leaving behind a silence that was louder than any confrontation could have been. The following morning, the video dominated every major news network. Officer assaults federal agent in racially charged incident. The headlines blazed across screens worldwide. Social media exploded, demanding accountability. The footage, raw, unfiltered, showed everything. The rage, the bias, the humiliation. But it also showed something more. Dignity under pressure. Derek Cole never released a statement. He didn't need to. The silence of a man who had faced war, discrimination, and blind hatred spoke louder than 1,000 press conferences. His calm restraint became a symbol, proof that true strength doesn't come from dominance, but from control. Officer Miller was suspended within 24 hours. The department called it a violation of protocol, but the public knew what it really was. Racism, laid bare for the world to see. His golf club, once a weapon of humiliation, became an exhibit in the official investigation. Weeks later, Derek returned to work, not behind a desk, but on a stage, invited to speak at a leadership forum for law enforcement officials. His message was simple but cutting. The enemy isn't the color of a man's skin. It's the blindness that keeps us from seeing his worth. The room fell silent. Even those who once turned away from uncomfortable truths were forced to confront them now. That moment, quiet, powerful, and unspoken, became his revenge. Not in anger, but in grace. Derek never sought vengeance. He sought understanding, and in doing so, he turned one man's act of hate into a nation's mirror. Long after the incident faded from headlines, the image of Derek standing calm beneath the weight of prejudice remained etched in millions of minds. A reminder that courage isn't loud, but it changes everything.